Hi, I'm Lisa Neff-Wheeler. I've lived in New Jersey the majority of my life. I've lived in the Hillsborough, Montgomery, New Jersey area for over 30 years. I love living here. The area has maintained its country feel while having the conveniences of a more urban area. I look forward to sharing why I love the area and the local businesses. My name is Lisa Neff-Wheeler. I'm with Coldwell Banker Realty, and I'm here today with Roberta Steve. Roberta is the president of the board of directors for the Somerset Valley Players. The Somerset Valley Players is a theater group which operates out of the Somerset Valley Playhouse in Hillsborough, New Jersey. And what's interesting about that playhouse, it was at one time a school. They put on 8 productions a year. And I've been looking forward to the interview to learn more about Roberta, her theater group, and get all the answers to my questions. And thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you for the opportunity, Lisa. We appreciate it too.
So tell us, and I think the history of the group is very, very interesting, especially how you started. Why don't you start by telling the audience the history of the group and how it came to be located in this location?
Well, we're actually celebrating our 55th season of presenting live theater through not just Hillsborough, but surrounding Somerset County. It originated back in 1967 when several PTA parents got to talking and they all discovered they had a love of performance and theater. So they said, why don't we form our own group? And the Somerset Valley Players was born. At that time, the players would move from location to location to do shows. They did not have a permanent home. Then in 1985, this former one-room schoolhouse, it's kind of a historic building in Hillsborough. It's the Little Red Schoolhouse as you drive down Amwell Road. Everybody knows it. They purchased it and completely gutted it, had to convert it into a theater. It was all volunteer labor. It took them 5 years, and then it reopened here in Hillsborough, and this is where we've been since then. I'm not good at math because I'm a theater person, but I think it's been 40 some years that we've been here in Hillsborough, and we feel at home here. Hillsborough Township has been a wonderful place for us to perform. We have a great relationship with Hillsborough High School. We've had several students perform here or work backstage, and we couldn't have asked for a better home.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So talk a little bit about how you personally got involved with the group and then how you became the president of the group.
I'm still trying to figure that out.
I was like, wow.
Well, I've been doing community theater for over 40 years. I studied it in college. I've done it in Pennsylvania when I lived in Pennsylvania. I've done it at other theaters here in New Jersey. And towards the end of my career in corporate America, my job got extremely busy. I was commuting into New York City, which was a 4-hour each way commute.
Did that for a while.
Exactly. So I wasn't able to do theater for several years. But when I retired in 2012, I thought, well, this is my chance to get back. So I came to SVP and I auditioned for a show and I got a part.
Awesome.
And I kept auditioning, kept getting parts. And I am a kind of person, I'm a doer, and I loved my experience here so much that I not only was acting, I was volunteering backstage with costumes, props, I painted sets, I helped build sets, I ushered, and so I got to really know the inner workings of the theater and the management of the theater. And then my background is in corporate public relations. So an opening came on the board of directors for the person who's in charge of publicity. So they asked me would I like to take the position, and I said yes. So the board had a special vote, and I, for 2 years, did the publicity for the theater, as well as the many other roles and activities I did. And then, let's see, 2 years ago, about 3 years ago, we had an election for several open seats on the board, and one of them was president. And several people said, "Why don't you do it?" And so I said, "Okay, I'll throw my hat in the ring." And I was elected, and of course that came right at the start of the pandemic when we had to shut down. So I had a baptism of fire.
You certainly did.
And obviously my number one goal was to keep the theater alive, and also to discover ways we could still produce content during the pandemic, the closure, and we did. We did 6 virtual productions.
Oh, wow.
That were recorded on Zoom. We did a really fun fundraiser. It was a takeoff on the Match Game, the 1970s classic game show, to raise money. That was a free thank you to our audiences and volunteers. And we also did a 5-part teaching series on the basics of theater on Zoom, where we interviewed various experts in Central New Jersey theater. So we stayed relevant, and we adapted to the technology we had to stay vital. And of course, we wouldn't be here at all if it weren't for the generous donations of our patrons and people from the outside the community, outside the state even, and also the support that we get from the Somerset Valley Cultural and Heritage Commission. They were very generous with their grant for the year that we closed, and that helps sustain us as well. And they've been a great partner for us for many, many years. So that was the order of the day. Just keep us alive. And I'm thankful to say that in September of last year, September 2021, we reopened.
That's awesome.
And we produced 3 live shows from September through December. And our holiday show in December was a history maker. Every single show was sold out. We've never had a show where every single performance sold out. So I think that just was indicative of people wanting to come back to live theater, and thankful to have something close that they could go to. And now we're in our 55th season, and typically we produce 8 shows every year, 2 musicals, and the rest a variety of comedies, dramas, mysteries, thrillers. And we have on stage right now a musical called Baby. And we're looking for, it's sort of, we're at the halfway point of our season. We're looking forward to the remaining shows. And we're, we're still getting back on our feet in some ways, but boy, our audience is glad we're around.
So a couple of questions, and I've done the Zoom thing. And a problem with the Zoom thing is you can't play off each other. And in theater, it's probably much more important where you have that interplay with people. How did you practice that to be able to do an event over Zoom? Because so much of theater is the magic between the cast members.
Absolutely. And the audience sort of being in the room where it happens.
I forgot about the audience. Sorry about that.
But what we did was we picked material that we thought would be conducive to the format.
Gotcha.
Obviously that didn't involve a lot of choreography or things like that. So they were sort of stories where the dialogue drove what happened. And we had a couple brilliant directors who learned some tricks on Zoom. For instance, we did a show where the characters are offered cocktails. So every actor in the scene had a champagne glass in their house, and when one character would pass the champagne glass through their box, the person on the other end raised their glass. So it literally looked like things were being passed between. And in another show, we actually had fun with some graphics that were available in Zoom, where a character was talking about his virtuosity, and we put a little halo above his head. So, you know, within the confines of what we had to work with, I think we did it very well. We got extremely positive results, and you know, even though the actors were only shown from the shoulders above, we costumed people to represent their character from here above, and you know, we were very pleased, and we feel confident now that we hope we never have to turn to that medium again. But should we ever be faced with a similar circumstance, we know we can do it.
Yep. So when it's normal land, and I will call getting back to normal, we're almost there.
Yeah. Well, theater normal is a very relative term.
This is true. You put on a lot of shows, you know, during the year. It is a lot.
It is a lot.
So talk a little bit about how you get people engaged, and then how you accomplish that, because I assume, you know, your cast members and your volunteers that you work with have other things going on in their lives.
Yes. Well, we're a completely all volunteer organization, including all the board members, everybody. So yeah, we all have other lives that we have to attend to. But I think one of the reasons that people of everybody involved with the production get engaged is they really like working here. We have several people who said publicly and privately that they consider SVP their home theater. They work at other theaters, but they're always looking for an opportunity to come back here. And I also think we're very open and welcome for new talent, new skill sets, new designers to come work with us as well. But yeah, it's a ton of work. We have to hold auditions for every single show. Every show requires a set build and a set paint. We have to costume, supply props for every show. And you know, it takes about 8 weeks of preparation for each show that we do. So while one show is running, another one is in rehearsal. It's just constant activity. And I think one of the things we're proudest of is the quality of what we present. We are a 99-seat house. There's not a bad seat in the house. But we're one of the smaller community theaters in central New Jersey, certainly, and in the whole of New Jersey. But we have a great track record in terms of being nominated for and winning what's known as the NJ Act Perry Award. NJ Act is an association of community theaters in New Jersey, and every year they present awards in excellence in community theater. And for a small house, we have had an extremely large amount of nominations and a proportionate number of wins. So that's something that we're extremely proud of and hope to continue as we move forward.
So, as you think through, as you're preparing for a show, you know, and just look at all, because you've been through a lot of preparation for this, what are the biggest challenges you face in that thing, which is just like, oh, if we could just avoid this in the future? You prepare for it and then you focus on it. So what's the biggest challenges?
Well, I think as any nonprofit theater would mention, always the biggest challenge is budget. You know, we do not have the kind of budget that professional equity theaters have. So we are very, very conscious of what we spend. We try to use resources that we already have or own or can borrow. There are several people who have seen pieces of their furniture from their homes on stage several times. That's a constant, I think, and you would get that answer at any nonprofit theater. I think the other big challenge is just the vast time frame that we have to work. As I said, 8 weeks to put on a show is not a lot of time. And within that 8 weeks, we have to build a complete set. We have to paint it. Those are usually take 2 weekends out of those 8 weeks. So we lose 2 weekends of rehearsal time, and a lot of our equipment has been donated or is on the older side.
Yeah.
So every show please let the light board work, please let the lights go on, please let the sound microphones work. I mean, there's just always that we just don't have a big checkbook that we can say, oh, we need a new this or that.
Let's just
write
go
out a
get
check.
it. Right.
So we have to be extremely enterprising, and think long and hard about what resources we're going to use for each show.
What do your volunteers say they love the most about, acting here?
Well, I think, and we have volunteers on many levels, not just actors, but
working here, acting here, I missed the boat.
But I think, one common thread is they have a passion for theater. Mm-hmm. No one does theater without a passion for it, because it's hard.
Yep.
You don't get paid, at least in the nonprofit realm, and it's you just have to love it. So all of our volunteers have that in common. But as I mentioned before, I think the thing that I hear most often is people feel welcome here. The word home comes up so much from our volunteers, our directors, our actors, our designers, that they say they feel at home here. I think part of it is the quaintness of the theater.
Yeah.
Because we're in a historic building and we're a tiny house, I think that it doesn't feel overwhelming to work here. Yeah. And I'm proud to say that the board of directors, even prior to my being part of it, but for years and years and years, has always made that a priority, that we express our thanks to our volunteers as often as we can. We cultivate a atmosphere of respect and appreciation for everything everybody does, and we also want people to have fun while they're doing it. And I think combine passion with fun, and people like to work here.
Exactly. So talk a little bit, and just so you know, I've lived in Hillsborough for 22 years, and I've lived in Montgomery before that, and lifelong kind of Central Jersey person. And I always drove past this on the way to Flemington. I always drove past this, and I wonder what they do here. And I was one of the folks who never came in until you reached out. So talk a little bit about, and I'm making an assumption that some in the community know you very well.
Yes.
Some in the community not so well.
Right.
So you can pick your audience who you're talking to. But the question I want to ask is, what do most folks not know about the Somerset Valley Players or the Playhouse?
Well, just to your point, Lisa, if I had $1 for everybody who's ever told me, I drive by that building all the time, but I've never come in, I would be a very rich woman.
And now I will be here. Don't worry, I will bring my family.
But I think what people don't know is the quality of the shows that we put on. I don't know if they think it's sort of just a little hobby of a few people that kind of get up there and just throw on a show. But we have extraordinarily talented actors. Some have been trained in places like the American Academy of Dramatic Art.
Oh, wow.
We have extremely talented directors that work here. Our sets, we are very proud for a small playing space that we have done some really incredibly detailed sets as needed as appropriate for a show. I think people, when they come here, are just blown away by the professionalism of the performances they see. We've had a couple new people attend our current show, Baby. I was talking to one of the women in the lobby the other night, and she just said that. She goes, I had no idea what to expect when I got here. And she said, wow, this was amazing and so professional. And of course, I did my PR duty, and I gave her our flyer for the rest of the season. And she's promised to come back, so I'll be looking for you. You know who you are. But that's the number one comment we get all the time is people just had no idea how the quality of the shows that we do.
That's awesome. If someone wants to get involved to help you out from a volunteer perspective, how do they do that?
The best way is to go to our website. We have a section in the scroll down on volunteers, and it describes several of the positions that we need, skills that are always helpful, and an easy way to start. We advise a lot of volunteers is to usher a show. It's probably the easiest thing there is to do. Plus, you get to see the show for free, and you get a sense for the theater and how we operate. But if you look down the list, if you have construction skills, we need that for set builds. You love to paint, we need help with set painting. If you're a seamstress, costumes is always a need. But you can click on a link there. It's webmaster@svptheater.org, and that email goes to our webmaster, and he forwards it to the appropriate area that the person's interested in. And also, I would advise everybody to like our Facebook page, Somerset Valley Players, because there's always updates, announcements, news of the theater going up there that will keep you informed.
Anything I didn't ask you that you wanted to be asked?
No, I think, like I said, we're just glad to give people a glimpse inside the building. They drive by all the time.
It's pretty cool, guys. It's really, I'm trying to imagine, just so you can understand, I'll describe it. It's a normal theater environment, but it's all red and burgundy, so the whole theme of the Little Red Schoolhouse has been maintained. And you can kind of imagine, a one-room schoolhouse where all the kids sat in here. So it's really cool, and they have a lot of history in the building, so you should come if you're a history buff, as well as a theater buff. It would be great. You could come and see a lot of cool things.
Yeah, you really can. And we have so many Hillsborough residents who participate in shows, so you never know, you might see a friendly face. I'm a Hillsborough resident, several other of our actors and staff people are. So, we really are an integral part, we feel, of the lifestyle in Hillsborough. And a few years ago, the New York Times real estate section did a whole article on living in Hillsborough. And one of the amenities they listed was the Somerset Valley Players.
That's awesome.
It was, yeah. We were really thrilled. It was we did not reach out to them. It just came there, so they know about us, and that's what we feel. We feel we are a cultural amenity in this township, and we love being here, and we want everybody to come see us.
Well, Roberta, thanks so much for your time today. It was really interesting learning more about you, the players, as well as the building I drove by. I really appreciate your time today.
Well, we thank you, Lisa. Thank you so much.
And for our audience, thanks for watching. Once again, I'm Lisa Neff-Wheeler with Coldwell Banker Realty. If you have an organization or a business you would like to be featured, just give me a call at 732-267-1204. Take care. See you on the next episode. Bye-bye.